who are on the internet telling you that. Believe me?
I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
We have a Supreme Court that is going to be moved to the right for generations. In the
I disagree
meantime,
with you on that. I mean, you haven't given me an argument that rebuts what I said.
and what about when Justice Breyer or Justice Ginsburg pass away or retire?
Yeah, I mean,
so they're going to filibuster. They're going to prevent 2 vacancies from being filled, and then you think, based on that in the context of American society as you know it, without a presidential election going on, that the Democrats are going to retake the Senate, even though they have twice as many people up for re-election.
Ben Howe is telling people, his conservative friends, to vote for Hillary if they care about the safety or the life of the Republican Party.
You think Donald Trump would have okayed the Keystone Pipeline?
Yes.
Me too. Do you think Donald Trump will do that when he gets into office?
Yes. I think he'll do all the bad things you can think of. Well, it's a risk assessment, right? So right now, if my choices are Donald Trump or neoliberal, warmongering Hillary Clinton in bed with Wall Street frackers and the big pharma, I'm going to say the risk, I'll take that risk of Donald Trump destroying the Republican Party.
It's not like the Republican Party is going to say, oh, what's become of us? I mean, look at the way they're reacting now.
You can vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm going to vote for the destruction of the Republican Party.
The Fox News decision desk has called Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
We handed almost unlimited power to a fascist wannabe. Buckle up. So are you not deeply, deeply concerned about that?
Yes, of course I am. I mean, we warned them. You know, the country has to come together now. The left is going to be united.
The left is going to be united. The left is going to be united, maybe with independence.
So I made a video recently about Jimmy Dore destroying the fraud squad. And somebody posted a link on my video and I took a look at it. I'm always open-minded. I am not afraid to entertain somebody else's point of view. I'm not afraid to be corrected. I'm not afraid to be wrong about something. That is how I learned some of the things that I'm not aware of is people posting comments and other videos and me looking into it and investigating and being enlightened about things that I wasn't previously. For example, Cannon Hinnett, I think his name was, 5-year-old kid shot in the face. Somebody posted his name on a video I was watching and were asking why wasn't the mainstream media talking about it. And my immediate response was, look at this idiot, blah, blah, blah. What about ism? Then I looked his name up, looked into what happened, and then I was like, well, damn, this is kind of messed up. I wonder why the media didn't cover this story. It certainly went viral. Why would the media not cover a viral story? And then I matched it up against the narrative that I see the media pushing a lot, and I realized the story went against that narrative. Then I started investigating more, seeing if this pattern was consistent or not. And surely enough, I found that it was. So this person posted a video, link to a video, which is essentially a Jimmy Dore takedown. I'll post a link in the description for you guys to take a look yourself. And the video does bring up some valid points. I am not unaware of problems with Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore is human, like us all, which means he has the same broken brain that we all have as humans. So being that he's human and he has a broken brain like we all do, that means that some of the things he believes and some of the things that he does are not going to make sense. And some of it's going to be completely wrong. I don't in any way mean to put everyone on the same level. You know, we all have the same broken brain, so what's the difference between this person and that person? There's a lot of difference. There's a lot of differences. You can have a broken brain, you can be human, you can be a person capable of being wrong about things, and yet overall, you can have an honest effort to try to seek truth and be right about a lot of other things. I'll give you an example of a good point made in the video. Jimmy Dore was absolutely wrong about his strategy with Donald Trump's election in 2016. He's one of these lunatics that had this idea of, I forget the terminology, but it's this almost anarchist type approach of let Donald Trump win and burn the whole thing down. And from the ashes, we will rise anew. The revolution will not be televised. I had similar concerns about Crystal Ball. She seemed to be advocating for people not voting for Biden. She had a withhold your vote mentality, which ironically I now have as well. But the reason why my stance changed on that is because Trump is gone, right? I don't believe in withholding your vote when it means Trump wins. Now, I think people still should have demanded, you should never, ever, there's never a situation where you should ever vote without demands. So you could bluff, like in the last election, knowing that you weren't going to allow Trump to win. But the politicians don't know that. And you could have stood your ground and said, hey, we're not voting unless we get these things. And then the most important part, it's always the consistency. It's not what you do in the moment. A lot of people just vote and that's it. They push the button and that's it. That doesn't work. You can't just demand something for your vote, right? And if they don't agree to what you're saying, you vote for them anyway to avoid Trump winning. And then you just sit on your ass and let Trump just do whatever he wants. You got to be consistent. If you're gonna bluff and say, hey, we want these things in order for you to get our vote, and then the person's not gonna agree with you. So let's say Biden doesn't agree to whatever the terms are. You can't turn around and vote for him anyway and then sit on your ass. You've got to then go after him hard and continue the fight. You also got to consider, he doesn't know what you did. It's not like he's aware of what the people who made demands, what they did and what they didn't do, right? So it's not like, because the threat is credibility. If you're going to make a demand for your vote and they're not going to agree to it, and then you're going to vote for them anyway, if they're aware of this, then you lose credibility. So in the future, when you say, I'm not going to vote unless you get this, they're going to be like, whatever. But they don't know that you did this, right? Now, if the number of people who make these demands is large enough, then yeah, it could be kind of obvious, right? I'm just statistically speaking. I mean, if you see, I don't know what's a ridiculous number. If you see 1 billion people making these demands, and you win by a landslide or something, I think it's clear that a lot of those people really weren't willing to go the distance. But outside of a situation where the alternative is Trump, I'm absolutely on board 100% with what Crystal Ball was calling for and withholding your vote. Demand something for your vote and don't stop fighting, right? If you don't get your demands, keep fighting, right? You've got to keep constant pressure on these politicians, and not the way that Black Lives Matter did it, which is one of the greatest disappointments of 2020 for me. All that energy just, in my view, squandered. Just lack of organization, lack of a real concise and clear message in terms of what they were looking for. Just a lot of emotion, a lot of people in the streets. We need that kind of energy, but we needed focus. We needed more organized. And that was not what the Black Lives Matter movement was, unfortunately. So here's my message. Jimmy Dore is a very valuable voice. He's a very important voice. You can learn a lot from watching Jimmy Dore. I do not recommend him for people that are, let's say, political amateurs. This is more advanced, in my view. If you don't really understand a lot about politics and you're watching Jimmy Dore, you can potentially get led down a rabbit hole and find yourself in a place where you don't want to be. But if you've already been pretty engaged in politics, you have a good understanding, and you're prepared to be able to see through some of the nonsense that Jimmy Dore may talk about, some of the incorrect views and incorrect strategies that he may have, and only take the good stuff. So, for example, I'm a strong supporter in his perspective on the fraud squad. And I still believe in force the vote and that it should have happened. Because again, I believe in consistent pressure. You pressure them to force the vote, they put it on the floor, it fails, and then you continue fighting. You get to see who's on the record, who supported it, who didn't support it. You go after those that didn't support it, right? You set the precedent. There's a large, consistent movement that's not going away. They push for force to vote. We were exposed that we didn't support it. Now they're coming after us. First they were targeting the fraud squad. Now they're targeting even more Democrats are being attacked. They start losing their seats. They start looking at the internal polling, and it's like, we got to do something, right? You push them on not having Nancy Pelosi stay in her position. Get that swamp creature out of there. You push them to not vote for things without getting what they ran on. And you just keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, but in a more drastic fashion than this incrementalism. The crumbs. 20 years, 30 years of crumbs. I hope people who support crumbs realizes that while you're taking your time and getting these drip, 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 there's some very bad things that are getting stronger and stronger. Some problems that are getting bigger and bigger. You're on a sinking ship, and rather than dramatically remove water aggressively, you're using one bucket, right? One bucket. Gallons and gallons of water, and you're taking one bucket at a time. The problem is, at least a bucket worth of water is coming in to the hole. So it's not like 20 years of crumbs is necessarily going to lead us to a place that we're much better than we are now. It took a long time, but look at all the progress we've made. 5 hours of one bucket at a time, and the ship might be deeper in the water than it was when you started. Or it might be pretty much the same place where it started. The rest of this situation is not stagnant. While you're dealing with your crumbs, other things are developing. Inequality, corruption in government. We've got to be aggressive. We've got to be impatient. We've got to be hostile. Non-violent, but hostile. We need to go to war with our politicians. That message that we get from Jimmy Dore, I strongly condone. Politicians are not our friends. They work for us. We put them in power, and we can take them out of power. We need to stop acting as if we don't have any power. We have all the power. Without our votes, they can't stay in power. They can't keep making the money they're making. They need us. We don't need them. There's no one politician that we need. Pelosi doesn't want to do the job, get rid of her. AOC doesn't want to do the job, get rid of her. Keep kicking them out until we get people who are willing to do the job. Go take a look at this video about Jimmy Dore. They bring up some valid points. If he was wrong, and he was, in my view, on Trump in 2016, consider what else is he wrong about. Let it be a reminder to you that we're all human. Don't fall in love with anyone. Don't fall in love with Jimmy Dore. Don't fall in love with me. Don't fall in love with Biden or Trump or any politician, any person. Realize just like how we've all done the dumbest things ever. We've all been wrong. We've all been misguided. We've all been misinformed. Realize that applies to everyone else. Jimmy Dore was wrong on Trump in 2016. I'm sure he's wrong on some things now, and he will continue to be wrong on things in the future. It is your job to take from him the things that he's right on, expand on it, do your own research, and grow, and spit out the garbage. Those are my thoughts. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.